Hello and welcome to Rockville Virtual Online Classes. In today's session, I am going to explain, dear children, the cultural and educational functions of dormitories. If you remember the previous two sessions that I have conducted for this lesson, I explained to you the meaning of dormitory and how this system of dormitories or the system of younger people coming together forming association was very much a part of the tribal groups. We have also seen that in tribal India, we have several tribes like the Nagas, the Bhotias, we have the Maria Goans, we have the Kariyas, who all have shown traits of the dormitory system. Dhumkhuria, Dangarbasa, Gotul, Ikhoichi, Iloichi are some of the names or terms by which we know the tribal dormitories of India. However, in ISC, you get a long question on explain the cultural and educational functions of dormitories, where a student is expected to write about the function or the role played by dormitories in tribal life. So let us begin with this particular topic in today's edition. In your textbooks, page 5.4, textbook page 5.4, if you look at the third paragraph, the answer is there for you. Third paragraph. It says here, dormitories, all such dormitories, this is the first function. So you can also start numbering, because when you number, then you will get points, all right? So let's start numbering. Let's start from the first function. All such dormitories aimed at training for young girls or boys of the same age in a common manner. So this becomes the primary role of a dormitory, to train whom? Young boys and girls. So the dormitory was specifically meant for younger generation. It is almost similar to the schools that you all attend. In schools, we have children, all right, small children. Then we have, let's say, the primary school or a middle school or high school, etc. Similarly, dormitory was meant for young boys and girls. What exactly happens? Training sessions used to take place in the dormitory. There is a fixed age for joining such dormitory for every society, which may be 4 or 5 among the Orao tribes. Though apparently the admission in dormitories are not arranged formally, there is compulsion that everybody should attend it, and even punishments can be given for breaking such norms. So this informal institution did not have, you can say, it did not have written rules and regulation. Again, comparing it to schools, when we take admission to schools which are formal schools, then we have sometimes admission tests, we have to take the form, we have to submit certain requirements which are made from the school, etc. Then attendance is compulsory. But in the dormitories, there was an age for joining. The age could be somewhere between 4 or 5, almost like a primary school, 4 or 5. So as soon as a child reaches the age of 4 or 5, he got or she got admitted to a dormitory. If any family kept their children back home, the children were with the parents, not attending dormitories, then strict punishments were given to such families. Today, in the civilized world also, no child is to be kept in the houses, or supposedly, you are not supposed to keep the child at home and not give education. Then The society also interferes in such matters. Similarly, here also, when the parents kept the children at home, did not give any kind of informal training, then punishments were given from the dormitory itself. Next, a special space can be marked within the village which should be kept for the purpose. Please number that as number 2. Another function of a dormitory was to look for a space, to look for a particular location where such trainings could be provided. Then, for example, it says here that all young bachelors of a Munda village, Munda tribes are from West Bengal. You can also find them in Madhya Pradesh, in Orissa. Munda tribes in that village, for example, they had a fixed common dormitory in the house of a Munda neighbor. So, if you are talking about the Munda tribes, the children attended dormitories. The dormitory was supposed to be the house of a Munda neighbor, who may have a hut to spare for the purpose, while unmarried girls together were assembled in the house of a childless Munda couple or in the house of a Munda widow. Now, regarding the boys, they all went to the Munda neighbor's house who had a hut to spare, almost like a guest room. But regarding the girls, their entire training was conducted in the house of a childless Munda couple. So, if there was a couple who did not have a child, but they had a house to spare, this was the kind of area that was specifically for the Munda girls, or in the house of a Munda widow. Widow meaning where she does not have a husband. The husband is already dead. Then, the girls were supervised by elderly matron of the village. That is number 3. The third role is that these girls were supervised, looked after by an elderly matron. So, the matron, the warden was in charge of the girls. Now, coming to another tribe, the Hos possessed 2 houses, one for unmarried young men and the other for the maidens of the village. Often the girls are distributed in groups among the houses of widows. Now, among the Hos are from Bihar. In this particular tribe, you had 2 sets of dormitories, one for the bachelors and one for the maidens. That means the unmarried boys and girls. These boys and girls, they got separate training, and most of the girls were divided into groups and they had to go and get trained in a Ho widow's house. Now, next number, you can put it as number 4, the function. The dormitory life is full of play and recreation. What happens? We are talking of training all the time. But apart from training, I guess the children enjoyed going to dormitories because it was full of play and also recreation, fun and games. Next, you can number it. The young children enjoyed the collective life with dance, music, sharing other experiences and storytelling. These places provided an opportunity to transmit lore, tradition and custom to the next generation. So, this becomes the cultural function of the dormitory, where the children, they had a lot of time playing, they spent a lot of time with recreation, etc. And what are the things that they were engaged in? It's given here. Dance, so folk dances were taught to them, folk music, learning how to play folk musical instruments, sharing other experiences. You might have elderly people coming and sharing stories of hunting or probably fishing, or how to make houses, or how to practice agriculture, how to keep the seeds, how to tame wild animals. These were some of the experiences which were shared by the elderly people. Then, excuse me, and apart from that, they also got the knowledge regarding their cultures, traditions and customs. The tribal people have their own set of customs, traditions, religion, language, rituals, and all these were passed down from the elder generation to the younger generation in the dormitory. Next, the juniors learned, now you can number this, different life skills both from the seniors and through their personal efforts. Oraos have a regular system of ragging also in the Dhumkuriya. So wherever we have seniors and juniors, we do find the system of ragging and bullying, the senior boys bullying the junior ones, asking them to work, etc. So which is very common in most of the dormitories. Even in the tribal dormitories, this sort of bullying, this sort of domination, ragging was also prevalent. Next, among the Goans are from Madhya Pradesh. The same dormitory is shared both by boys and girls, and the girls take care of the boys and then they sing and dance together late till night. Among the Bhotias, the Rangbhang connotes a center for youngsters where they enjoy themselves with dance, drink, music. They do not have a fixed shelter for such entertainment. However, with the change of time, the tribal people are gradually losing interest in these type of entertainment, and the system of dormitory is almost in the path of decay. So whether it be the Goans or the Bhotias with Rangbhang or the Mundas, Hos, Uraos, there are a number of tribal groups which are mentioned here. We find that basically the function was the same. Dancing, drinking, merrymaking, alright. At the same time, they were learning about the folk dance, folk music, folk culture and customs. Next, the dormitories are not only entertainment centers. Now, a question might come to your mind. So, do the children go to these dormitories only to do these things? Don't they learn anything else apart from that? So, it was not only entertainment centers, but training centers for local tradition, as it also served as an agency for community service. Community service meaning where these young children were used to work for their own or to serve their own community. For example, a house has to be constructed, then they would use these young children to help them construct a tribal person's house. Let's say there's death in the village, you require people to help you out, then again you had these young children coming and helping. Harvesting, it's ready to harvest the crops, harvesting has to be done. No machines were used in those days, helping hands are required, again you contact these dormitories. But while the children were learning how to construct a house, how to start with sowing, reaping, harvesting, alright, agricultural activities, domestication of animals, helping the others in turn also resulted in learning, also resulted in training. Next, it says here that the members of such dormitories assist at marriage ceremony. There is marriage in the village, you go and help. So it is a community, service kind of center. House building, harvesting. In most cases, they spend time with the family members also. Only in the evening they come and gather in the dormitory, shelter, and after the service is called for to the community as a whole, the dormitory is also a place for utilizing young energy for community purpose. So in one way, you're training them also. At the same time, their energy is being used to serve the community. Dormitory was also a place for friendly relation, just like in schools. Sometimes you meet your best friends in schools. You can discuss everything with your best friends, alright? You can have very close relationships with your friends. So, dormitory was also a place for friendship. And they maintain secrecy as per the activities and happenings. In the Maria Gotul, senior girls trained the younger boys, etc. Then the senior boys instructed the junior boys, and whatever happened inside the dormitory was kept as a secret. However, sometimes if there was a person, alright, inside the dormitory, you could find a partner for yourself. And once you decided to get married, then you were not allowed to stay in the dormitory. Once you're married, then you have to stay out of the dormitory. Supposing there's a widower. Widower is a person who has lost his wife. He's single again. If he wants to get remarried, he could be readmitted inside the dormitory. So another function or a role of dormitory was also to look for relationships. Next, generally married people were not allowed inside the dormitory. Special consideration was shown to widows and widowers, so it's like getting remarried. And then if any member of the dormitory got married either within it or with a mate from outside, then ceremonially it was celebrated inside the dormitory. So friends came together, they celebrated the marriage together, they had fun together. Now, training in discipline and tribal manhood were also important components of the Gotul life, especially for the men. How to hunt, how to use several weapons, what kind of tools and implements will you use for agriculture, which is the right season for hunting, which are the weapons you are going to use to hunt certain animals. These were taught by the older people to the younger men. So it is almost like passing your occupational acts, teaching them about the future roles in the society. Then in primitive societies, division of labor was also taught. If men were taught to hunt, right, to cut down trees, to construct houses, to fish, right, to fight against the odds, women were taught how to look after the children, how to look after the house, how to cook, how to serve the family. This was basically the work that was taught to the women. Then it says here that division of labor or hereditary occupational skills were not much practiced. Dormitories take the responsibility to educate the children of the village relating to social and economic life of the tribes so that they may participate in socio-economic activity. Then lessons in agricultural operation, which is the right time to plant paddy, which is the right time to harvest maize, which vegetables will grow in which season. This was also taught to the tribes. Hunting, honey gathering, minor economic pursuits were imparted. Even awareness develops regarding discipline, because tribal groups have their own law and order. They have their own code of conduct, punishments, the rules for rewarding, etc. The rules, the tribal rules were also imparted to the children. Social justice, we have laws and punishments. So what are the do's and don'ts in a tribal group? That was also given. Reciprocity of obligation, duties. Your duty as a husband, your duty as a wife, your duty as a brother, your duty as a son or a daughter, as a tribal individual, as a member of the group, that was also taught. Law and order in the society, as well as relation between effort and reward. If you are a good hunter, what can you get? If you are a very good wife, what can you get? If you become the best daughter-in-law, what are the rewards that you're going to get? And also between crime and punishment. If there's a murder in the tribal group, what punishment should be given to the murderer? If somebody runs away with someone's goat, what punishment will you give to that person? If there is a rogue inside the dormitory, what are you going to do to check his actions? These were some of the training that was imparted, and this will be the answer for your cultural and educational functions of the dormitories. So I hope I have made myself very clear here. In my next edition, I will talk to you about the reasons for the disappearance of dormitory in the later life. Thank you very much for watching.